Hey guys, it's Mountain Walk, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about Premodern. Yes, that's right, you've never heard of this, and that was me, like only a couple weeks ago. It's a new format, or sort of new. It's been around for a few years, created by a Swedish player in 2012, I believe, and it's been around. And it's a pretty interesting format, but you know what? Let's start from the beginning. Why would you even why even want to play this? You don't even know what it is. Well, guess what? Regular Magic sucks. Everything about it sucks. It sucks. It sucks. You want something awesome? Let's give you something awesome. I want another sweet format. I want 93, 94, but I don't want to pay $1 million. I want something that's cash money that's not going to cost cash money. That's right. Something sweet. And so it's a format that, like 93, 94, is basically like a solved format in a way. So it's only going to be stuff from 4th edition to Scourge. So it covers basically the roughly from 1995 2003. So everything that's not in 93, 94, all the sets that aren't in 93, 94. So it feels like a specific niche, unlike uh, other you can 93, 94, you want to play all your old weird like you know Zach Dolan World Championship 1 decks or whatever, basically, all your really old stuff. This is basically very similar to like an old extended kind of format, but it's it's got a little bit more. There's some key differences, of course. We'll get those. Um, but the biggest one is that it's no dual lands, because the duels were only in extended because of like a special rule, and then they rotated out around when like Ice Age rotated out. They were with Ice Age block because like they were just a special rule. Everyone loved them. I mean, obviously, right? So it's kind of like what extended would have looked like without duels, like old extended, but with also onslaught block, because I believe it rotated at Judgment, all that old stuff. Pretty sure. Although my memory could be failing me, because I'm pretty sure I remember World Gorge Dragon, the Dragon combo coming out right around Judgment, and it was only legal for a little bit, and then it rotated, and I think that's why it wasn't banned or anything like that. Anyways, so um, interestingly enough, so it's basically that plus all of Onslaught block plus, gosh, yeah, Chronicles was pretty sure it was legal too. I don't remember. But there's no Portal, because Portal wasn't legal. There's not a ton of stuff you lose. But one thing you do lose is Boiling Seas. So if you want to get your Burning Wishable boil thing, then you're just going to have to go with regular boil. I know, it's unfortunate. I love Boiling Seas. It has sweet art. So you just can't win. You get Flash Fires. That's pretty good though. Okay, good stuff. I got some tea. I'm drinking some tea, so it's good. I love tea. Um, yeah. So let's see here. Oh, so the band list. Basically, you've been playing Magic at all, and you play with old border stuff. Nothing on here should be very. There's a couple exceptions, but none of these cards should really be very like, oh my gosh, why is Tolarian Academy banned? I mean, right? Like it's pretty obvious, and 90 most of these cards are never going to come off ever because you just can't make. I mean, not without you can't make Tolarian Academy fair. It's not really something you can do. So whatever. Anyways, but there are interesting cards that aren't banned. Tinker, Yawgmoth's Bargain, Goblin Lackey, Lion's Eye Diamond, Hermit Druid, Black Vice, etc. are legal. Tinker would probably be the well, I guess Bargain too. Bargain's pretty ridiculous. But we do have Tendrils is banned in this format, so it means you gotta work a little bit more. But Tinker, really the only big problem with Tinker came when Mirrodin Block. Mirrodin Block introduced a million different problems. So Chromox, which was insane in basically every deck, or at least all the combo decks. You had Belcher for all the Belcher decks, all the Tinker which was played in the Belcher decks, and also all sorts of Tinker decks with Dark. Oh well, Darksteel Colossus came out after Tinker was banned. Oh, excuse me. You even had stuff like Pentavis, Platinum Angel, all sorts of great stuff. Um, I mean, gosh, it was the forum was totally crazy. Even fair stuff. In case you don't remember, Eternal Winds came out in Fifth Dawn or Darksteel. Oh, I can't remember. I think it was Fifth Dawn. Yeah. So there's, I mean, that was the block that caused a lot of problems. Apparently, when you combine two broken artifact blocks, it causes issues. Who would have thought? Anyway, so Tinker is, at least at the moment, and as far as I can tell, um, it's not really that big of a deal. Um, so basically, format so you can play all your old decks, your old border decks from old standard or extended or da 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 da. That's what I was so excited about because when I first started playing Magic, like the first deck I got really into was Fire. So I came out and like around Invasion, Plane Shift, Mass Block, Type 2. And that was sweet. That was so sweet. Like Blastoderm, like Hasted Blastoderms. This is amazing. Like freaking FTK, blow your ass up. This is amazing. I love this. So that's really fun. I like casting Simoon. Simoon's sweet. Where you got like the Scary Tornado, where you got the monkeys watching the Scary Tornado version. Simoon is sweet. I mean, come on. That's good stuff. But that deck is sweet. I love Sapling Burst. I mean, oh my gosh. That was a sweet deck to play. That's definitely one of the is it like a mid-range deck? Would you say it's capable of killing on turn 4? Would you say it's like an aggro deck or a mid-range deck, even though it has so much fad in it? Kind of weird. Oh well. Anyways, so you can play all these old decks that you really can't play anywhere else, or old cards that just aren't viable or whatever. You know, so that's basically one of the reasons why the format exists. At least I'd imagine is to play all this stuff that just you can't play anywhere else. That doesn't have a home, basically. Just like all these cards that want in Modern, like 99% of them are in this format, So that's pretty cool. Um, but yeah, so the ban list. So like I said, there was a couple things that are wonky about it. Um, Obviously, Brainstorm and Force Will are the biggest ones. I mean, Brainstorm is a card that I would love to play in this format. That'd be sweet. I mean, everyone loves to play Brainstorm, but I mean, card's stupid. It's sometimes better than Ancestral Recall. Like, think about, like, even, like, the Hermit Druid decks. Like, you draw crap, and you can't get it back into your deck. Like, Brainstorm fixes that, So it's even better than Recall in some instances. Someone duresses you, hide your combo pieces, hide your Factor Fictions, da 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 da. So it's obviously, like, a card that's perfectly fine for being banned, um, and makes it more gives an identity over something like legacy or whatnot. Also, like, I mean, yeah, again, can make combo too strong, obviously, but it kind of powers up everything, obviously, as we've seen in legacy. Everything just uses it if you're playing blue, and then Force of Will. So now this one will probably, some people think it was strange, like, how is the format even balanced without Force of Will? The thing is, there is a lot of really good disruption. The decks are a little bit slower in some ways. The creatures are a little less good, although the power level is more evened out, I think. The thing about Force of Will is that, yeah, it does stop combo decks, but some of the best Force of Will decks have always been like these combo/combo control decks. You remember Flash Hulk and Legacy? Thing was insane. The same thing here, like with like the old Tricks decks that played Necro and yeah, the blue-black versions. Like, I mean, that's is sometimes does make combo decks too good in a way, and so I think that it doesn't seem to be any combo decks at the moment. Maybe obviously Bargain, but it's on the watch list, but that could be a problem there. But I think Force of Will would cause more issues than it would really solve. I mean, especially since the format's so new, there's not a huge amount of data on it. I mean, it's, I'm actually okay, especially like since it's kind of expensive, $70 or something. per copy, so that's fine. And again, it makes it more unique, more distinct from Legacy and all the other Eternal formats. So I think it's pretty interesting. I like it. It makes it cheaper too. That's nice. So yeah, I think I'm okay with both of those. Um, yeah, and so it does make the format is pretty cheap. Like I said, a lot of these cards are like old cards that are like 15 cents, 25 cents, 50 cents or whatever. Really, it's really pretty cheap. There are some obvious exceptions. Anything with Gaia's Cradle is going to be expensive. Obviously, Sea of Traders, Ancient Tomb, those are pretty expensive. Obviously, certain reserve list cards. Curse Scroll is expensive because I guess, just because it's Curse Scroll and it's reserved. Um, Gosh, there's some other stuff too. Gosh, there's a lot. I mean, there's stuff like Allurin. Some stuff that you think would be reserved is not, like Oath of Druids. That's not on the reserve list. And then it was actually just reprinted in one of the commander decks, I think. But anyways, there's I was going through all the cards. Bargain's on the reserve list. So there's a ton of stuff that's actually kind of expensive. So I guess, I mean, if you're one of the like two people watching this thing, if you actually want to play this format, just buy the cards that you want for your decks. Like right now, if there's anything you want to play, because like, I mean, in case you remember what happened to Modern or what happened to Commander, like, I mean, you know, that's I've seen enough patterns to recognize when something's gonna explode, and this is a sweet format. So okay, so yeah, get your stuff if you can't. Most everything else that was super cheap, and hopefully will be that way for a while. Because a lot of these cards aren't super old. A lot of the old stuff is kind of sporadic because it's weird and not very good. But it's all the stuff from like Invasion Block and forward. There's a ton of that stuff, so those should hopefully remain. Okay, so I had some thoughts regarding this format because I've been playing a little bit, played some games, made a couple decks, 3 or 4 or 5 decks, a few decks. Um, and it seems like, and just obviously being familiar with like the card pool and everything else that I've been playing since, or started around that time. So all the threats are actually pretty good. Like, it's not like 93, 94 where Mistress Factory is like the best creature in the format or something. Like, there's a lot of really good stuff. There's a lot of really good stuff, or at least, I mean, not everything can be Goblin Guide or whatever, Delver's Secrets or whatnot, but there's a lot of really good stuff, and it feels all to be about the same. It feels pretty even, like power level wise, between all the creatures. Like it doesn't seem like one color's so much better than the others. Although blue seems a little weak, but yeah. So probably the two things. First off, Morphling, old best creature ever printed kind of guy is so much worse now. I mean, if only because this format you get red blasts. Try resolving your 5 mana sorcery through like red blast post board. Like, have fun with that. But also, just the card just is, you can't protect it with Force of Will, and the damage on the stack changes. So those are big. Those hurt a lot of stuff, including Mog Fanatic. But Mog Fanatic still trades with like all sorts of weenie creatures. Still pings for 1 if they wog you or something. And it's a 1-drop, so it's fine. And it's only slightly worse than like Goblin Patrol if you're just trying to go aggro, because it doesn't cost you a turn, basically. And Masscore is still about as good as I think it's always been. Like, it's great against all of the weenie decks, all the aggressive decks, because you can ping it and oh my gosh, and if you're playing like any of the artifact decks, like they have tons of mana. Guess what's a good mana sink? It even survives Navinral's Disc because it can regenerate through it. Navinral's Disc is legal. There's a lot of weird stuff in this format you wouldn't think would be legal, but is because it's in 4th edition, which I find to be pretty funny. Because every time I was looking, I'm like, is this in? Is this in? Is this in? I think like Winter Orb, the last that it was in 4th edition, I think, too. And same thing with Animate Dead, I believe. like I said, there's a lot of stuff. Some stuff's only in because of Chronicles, like Tormod's Crypt or Blood Moon. Thanks, thanks Chronicles. You know, just sort of how like Blood Moon was in like, no, I guess it was in a bunch of stuff. Never mind. Well, never mind. Anyways, I was trying to make a joke about Modern with Blood Moon, but it's just not really working out. Anyways, skip that. Um, but yeah, basically every color has pretty good creatures. White, you got like all the shadow dudes, or like the other traditional weenies like Mother of Runes and so on. Weathered Wayfarer's good. A lot of utility stuff. Obviously Savannah Lions, which was in fourth. Pretty sure that was in fourth, like I said. And then Rebels. Obviously Rebels is sweet. I mean, ooh, excuse me. Rebels is, it's good. It's slow as hell, but it's good. And basically kind of plays sort of the same thing as like Goblins does with like the card advantage stuff, and except it's like a million times worse clock and it's about a million years slower. But you do get to play like counter magic with it, or I guess you could just play mono white and Armageddon or something. Um, so yeah, a lot of stuff you can do with whites. Oh, obviously, Eternal Dragon and Exalted Angel. Exalted Angel is basically like this format's Sarah Angel. This card's sweet, and obviously Eternal Dragon is great. God, there's good creatures indeed. White's really good in this format, I think. I think it's good. And that's mostly because of like Scourge and stuff. So White was really good in that. White, that said, man, Scourge was sweet. Anyways, Blue has kind of the worst creatures, but there's a ton of good stuff like for the old Blue Tempo Weenie decks or whatever. Cloud of Fairies, and the one I just totally remembered before, when I was making this, Root Water Thief. I think it's like the second invitational card. It's the one that like you can pay a blue, I think, yeah, and then exile someone's card. Gestures cap them for one when it deals combat damage or whatever. That card was played. It was good against like, I remember playing in Vintage because you could steal like obviously restricted cards, so you could stop them from comboing out or just disrupt them. So that's kind of cool. But Blues has some weak stuff, but there's some good stuff. And then you have all the sky stuff and like Rishadan Airship or something. Is that the 3-mana 3/1 can only block flying? Something like that. And then of course, like I mentioned, Morphling. So you can oath it out. That's probably the best use for it, I think. Black has all sorts of weenie guys, Carnifage and Sarcomancy. I guess Sarcomancy is not really a guy; it's an enchantment. And then of course, again, all the shadow creatures, all the suicide things like Hidden Horror or Negator or whatever. Got giant fatties to reanimate out, or just hard cast like Sara the Dreadful. You got a lot of good stuff, also and stuff all over the place. Oh yeah, even like the dude that exiles like the FTK's a creature, the Nightmare guy, 4-mana 2/3. That guy's pretty good too. Red, you've got all the traditional red weenie guys like Jackal Everyone likes Jackal and of course, obviously all the Goblin cards. And you can, like I said, you can play Wacky. So you can basically play everything except Recruiter, of course. Um, so yeah, that's sweet. So you got those two different options, and of course you got Ball Lightning and Blistering Firecat, which I love both those cards because those are sweet. And the green has basically everything: utility guys, mana dorks, fatties, weenies, madness creatures. So I mean, literally anything. Reanimation guys like Symbiotic Worm, and that's a sweet card. Okay, gosh, there's so many things. Okay, so removal is all very good. You have tons and tons of good cheap instant speed, sorcery speed removal, bolt, plow, edicts of both flavors, both diabolic and chainer. Basically every color but green has good removal. Although green has like stuff like naturalize, of course, and that's pretty good to me. Let's see. Oh yeah, blue has good stuff like seal removal and waterfront bouncer. Um, Reanimator is actually really good in this format. Like it looks pretty close to like what you would see in something like Legacy, but all these blue cards, like all the bounce spells and stuff, are like so brutal against it. Um, like Seal of Removal is hilarious. Waterfront Bouncer, like just stuff like that. That's just hard, makes it really hard for them to win. Um, it seems weird, but yeah. And then obviously, of course, the Veneral's Disc. The Veneral's Disc, of course, is sweet. Of course, Powder Keg. Everyone likes Powder Keg. Pretty sweet. Counter Magic is all pretty good. Like I said, everything but force, basically. Well, I guess no mana drain, but um, yeah. Ooh, Spiketail Hatchling, right? That's also a dork, but it's pretty good. Flying force spike. The card advantage is basically everywhere. Like literally every color has access to it, and it's all pretty good. I mean, you can basically, obviously Fact or Fiction be kind of like the poster child for that, or maybe Intuition, AK. I don't know. But there's tons of card advantage. Basically, every deck has access to it. A lot of tutors, which is great. So a lot of good card selection. Um, that's pretty sweet. The disruption is pretty great. I mean, basically have everything except Strip Mine. Um, but you have Wasteland, so that's probably okay. I'm okay with that, I guess. Uh, Dust Bowl. Dust Bowl is good. I like Dust Bowl. I like wishing for Dust Bowl. Like in the Rock, because it's, if you need to take care of other mainlands or whatever, just as another way to disrupt them. Um, Obviously, mass land destruction, like Armageddon, Wildfire, Mishra's Helix, that good stuff. And, oh, guy, I gotta take a drink for a sec. Mm. I talk, and then my mouth gets dry. I always forget when I talk so much, this always happens. That's okay, though. That's okay. Okay. And the sideboard cards, part of the reason why the format is so good is they're all so fucking broken. I mean, if you like, you know how impactful those in modern, where it's like, oh, you have these really broken sideboard cards and da da da. Well, ramp that up to like 100, except they're all like stupid. Like spreading algae. Like, can you even imagine that card? Like that card's fucking retarded. Like, oh, I just do it, just really play swamps, kill your swamps and get it back. Like, I mean, these things are brutal hosers. I mean, and there's a lot of them. Stuff like Gloom, Stench of Evil, Chill. I mean, this is it's ridiculous, but I mean, it's awesome. Obviously, Boil, Flash Fires. I mean, all the artifact hate, Pulverize, Meltdown, Rack and Ruin, Shattering Pulse. I mean, Naturalize and Disenchant. Tranquility. I mean, basically, there's really nothing missing. Of course, Tormod's Crypt. Every deck can play that. It's ridiculous. I mean, there's tons of color hosers, tons of hate for pretty much everything. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's awesome. I like it. I think it's sweet. I really like I like powerful color hosers. I don't know. It feels better than playing boring cards. Color hoses are sweet. At least they make the games not take long. Um, and the colors, I guess speaking of color hosers, they all seem pretty balanced, honestly. Like nothing really seems like too far out of line, especially with stuff like Force and Brainstorm Band, and of course all the other stupid blue shit from like Saga Block. Um, God, is it just Saga? Well, yeah, I don't know. Guys, that was a stupid block. Well, I liked it, but man, everything was so ridiculous. But all the colors seem about equal. Um, Typically, I think my the heuristic I use is that if red decks are good, like tier one or whatever the hell you want to say, then the format's probably okay, probably. So it's a heuristic. It's not a hard and fast rule. You just whatever. Okay. The mana is, I think, pretty good. Three color shards, three ally colors. That's good. The fixing's not really there for two enemy color stuff. I mean, that's again. I mean, you have some of the tainted lands. So only the base black decks can play more fixing. So the tainted wood and field and yada yada yada. Obviously, you have the Apocalypse Pain lands, which are great. Um, the two color decks have like Pain lands, fetch lands, and then stuff like the Odyssey lands, the filter lands, the ones that like colors had the two ally colors. Those ones are good. Then you have stuff like, of course, City of Brass, Gemstone Mine, Undiscovered Paradise. So you can get like five color decks kind of working or splashing cards or whatnot. I mean, man's actually pretty good. Three color decks, three color green decks. Say like you wanted to play junk or something. Works because you have Bird's Paradise, and of course something like Yavimaya Elder helps there too. Birds is really good, obviously, in this format. Um, oh yeah, then the aggro decks can use City of Brass as additional fixing, whereas they don't really care too much. But I mean, any deck really has to be careful because too much of that stuff you start losing points against Sly, which is probably not something you want to do. Speaking of which, best decks, at least from my limited playtesting or whatever, um, it seems to be like Slayer Goblins, Land Still, some sort of survival deck, probably full English Breakfast or whatnot, since that seems to be the one seeing the most play. Madness, probably the best sort of like aggro control tempo deck, and then probably some sort of Tog deck, but it's, I'll get to that a little bit later. But there's so much room for innovation. I mean, I have like at least 10 deck lists that I've been tinkering around with and thinking about, and I mean, everything's so open, it's hard for you to make really control decks in some instances because you don't know what you're going to be playing against. Do you want more redundancy? Do you want more flexibility? How much removal should you play? How much counter magic? I mean, there's a lot of good counter magic, so it's tough. It's tough. Yeah, but there's so much stuff to play, and then there's all sorts of like new decks because I don't think the old extended format was ever really solved for the most part. So it seems like there's still probably some new decks that could be put together, but yeah, it's pretty cool. There's like just tons of stuff you can do. I mean, tons. So it's pretty sweet. Um, yeah, the artifact decks, like all the Tinker decks or the Wildfire decks, they almost kind of look like more or less what they did, like in the old late 90s, early 2000s, like during Type 2. Like they looked about what you would think they look like. They don't really get much else from the newer sets. Like the Wildfire decks, you get um, Burning Wish, of course, and I guess you could play something like Petrodon for more land hate, which I think is sweet, which I would totally do. That's also like one of my favorite targets for like reanimation is Petrodon, because I mean, come on, that card's sweet. I don't even know what it is. I mean, it's a nightmare beast, I guess, but anyways, um, Tog is good. Lots of different things you can do with it, but I mean, there's just too many different options. Do I want to play Force Spike or Memory Lapse? Maybe I want to play Daze instead of Force Spike. Do I play 3 removal spells? Do I play 6 removal spells? So just a mix of Smother and Edict? More Smothers than Edicts? Wait, which Edict? Chainer's Edict? I mean, there's so much you can play. I mean, and there's so much you can do. You don't know what I mean, can you afford to play Cunning Wishboard if you're going to go up against random crap? You'll probably need more cards for that then. About the only thing I always start off with my blue decks is like Hydroblast in the sideboard, because I mean you're gonna need a lot of help against, like, obviously you have to play against turn 1 Lackey, and if you're not playing swords, then you're probably gonna have a hard time against that, especially as a control deck. So you definitely want those Hydroblasts to be able to kill that, and then of course Engineered Plagues against that, and then some of the other decks pretty good against too. But the one thing nice about Tog though is that you can just kind of like all the random like stupid crap, like you don't have to really deal with it. You can just upheaval Tog, and that's how you win. I mean, it's better than like trying to deal with a million different things because it's probably not possible. Um, so that's something I've been working with. I have no idea. Like, I have about 3 or 4 million different lists, and all the lists I've seen that people have been playing have been all totally different. Totally different, but that's okay. It's pretty sweet though. Lane Still, which I mean, I think all the lists I've seen are about like 99% like the same. I mean, playing plows and logs, and you don't really need much else for creature control. I mean, counterspell, mana leak, yeah. Create Justice to cycle under your standstill. I mean, Mistress Factories, Fairy Conclaves, Wastelands. I mean, it's basically builds itself, and for the most part, there's nothing really too that you can really do too much. I mean, there's some like I don't know if I'd play a Dismantling Blow main deck. I mean, it's okay. I guess it's better than a second Disenchant main, but I don't know. Anyways, that deck's pretty sweet. Basically built Oath. And Oath is pretty cool, but there's probably a lot of weird stuff. It doesn't play a lot of creatures, so that could cause some issues where your Oath and doesn't really work in. Although we've seen some people use like a turbo land strategy, so that's kind of interesting. But so yep. Oh my gosh. Oh, and of course, yeah. Sometimes the Oath decks will play like the ones I've seen playing Treetop Village, but you can play Measures Factory too, and that might be better. Maybe, I'm not sure. I mean, there's about a million different things you can play. So yeah, and I guess what other decks? But I mean, oh, I'm gonna have another deck. I'll probably do a deck tech thingy on it. For Premodern, because this is the one I'm most excited to play, I think. And it's pretty sweet. Haven't seen anyone talk about it too much, or at all actually, although it's similar to some of the other decks in the format. But I don't want to give it away, but it's an awesome one. So, yeah, and I guess that's kind of it. I mean, there's really like that's it.